When the prophet Daniel prayed, he was given greater wisdom than the workers of magic, and greater than the teachers of philosophy. He was enabled to predict the outline of the history of the world for the next 25 centuries. He was shown Nebuchadnezzar's dream. That dream featured a great image of gold, silver, bronze, and iron. While he watched, a great stone fell from heaven and destroyed the image. Listen to the dream in the prophet's own words. Faith in God versus the world's wisdom. When your poorest relatives are very sick, do they go to a witch doctor for treatment? The use of magic workers has a long history, preceding Islam, Buddhism, and even Christianity. It was used extensively by the Babylonians, and today it is still in common use by some. The story of Daniel the prophet shows that magic workers do not accomplish their wonders by the power of God. Daniel answered in the presence of the king, and said, "The secret which the king has demanded, the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and the soothsayers cannot declare to the king. But there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days." Daniel 2:27-28. Even before the time of the prophet Daniel, back in the earlier days of the prophet Moses, the power of magic workers competed with God's prophets. Men have always had to choose between trusting in the power of magic men or in the power of God's faithful spokesman. But Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, so the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments. Then the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart grew hard, and he did not heed them, as the Lord had said. Exodus 7:11-22. Today we have another class of wise men who also make light of true religion. They doubt in God's existence. They act as if faith were foolishness. God's prophets predicted that this class of men would exist just before the last day. Knowing this first, that scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts, and saying, "Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. For this they willfully forget, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of water and in the water." 2 Peter 3:3-5. When the prophet Daniel prayed, he was given greater wisdom than the workers of magic, and greater than the teachers of philosophy. He was enabled to predict the outline of the history of the world for the next 25 centuries. He was shown Nebuchadnezzar's dream. That dream featured a great image of gold, silver, bronze, and iron. While he watched, a great stone fell from heaven and destroyed the image. Listen to the dream in the prophet's own words. You, O king, were watching, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose splendor was excellent, stood before you, and its form was awesome. This image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze. its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay, and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together, and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Daniel 2:31-35. What did this dream mean? The prophet answered that very question, so we need not trust what any teacher might say about it. In fact, the dream relates very directly to the people today. This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation of it before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings. For the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory, and wherever the children of men dwell, or the beasts of the field and the birds of the heaven, he has given them into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold. Daniel 2:36-38. So the Babylonian Empire at the height of its power, and in the land that is now Iraq, was the head of gold. But after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours, then another, a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. Daniel 2:39. If you are a student of history, you know that Cyrus, the ancient hero of the Persians, conquered Babylon. Persia was the chest of silver. And over 2 centuries later, Alexander the Great defeated the Persians decisively, giving way to the Greek Empire. Rome followed the Greek states and was described by Daniel as an empire of iron. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything, and like iron that crushes, that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all the others. Daniel 2:40. Indeed, Rome from Great Britain to North Africa and into the Middle East controlled land that had belonged to hundreds of tribes and ethnicities. The Romans believed that their pagan god, Jupiter, had given them all the world as fast as they could take it. But the paganism of Rome accepted some teachings of the prophets and rejected many others, with that they professed to be followers of Jesus. This happened as Rome was breaking up into little states that eventually became the powers of Europe. Whereas you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, yet the strength of the iron shall be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. Daniel 2:41. Daniel was shown that these nations of Europe would never again form one empire. He saw that they would try and fail to unite their empires by intermarriage of royal families. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. Daniel 2:42-43. Such an accurate prediction of the next 2,000 years could not have been given without the power of God. But what would follow the European states, the powers that exist in the world even today? We will look at that in our next section.